What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new Dragon Ball Legends video on Dragon Ball Central. Today is going to be a bit of a different video because we're going to be talking about Zenkai Awakening and why it's actually a really good thing for this game. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, guys, something really important to distinguish from here is that I'm not actually talking about the new star system when I say Zenkai Awakening. A lot of people have been throwing this all under the same label and just saying that the new star system is synonymous with it, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think this type of system would have been introduced if not for the new star system, because I think that that's just how Bandai is. They're sort of greedy when it comes to the way they monetize the game, making it have an extra incentive for whales to go all in and get 99.99 Z power. You know, that's something they were probably always going to be doing if they introduced some way for balance changes to be regularly integrated into the game, other than every 6 months with a huge update. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about Zenkai Awakening specifically. So guys, moving on, I just want to point out that you can actually do the Zenkai Awakening missions. You don't need to pay anything, at least in the beginning. Now, this may change in the future, and it may be something that's really taken advantage of by Bandai because it's a new game feature and they can monetize it in different ways. But with that said, at least in the beginning, you are able to go ahead and get the Awakening Z Power and Zenkai Souls just by knocking out these missions. It's just gradual things that you can do to just get these new resources, which is really nice to see, because obviously a lot of the times in the history of this game, they've just overly monetized new features to the point that it's like $4 or $8 for a single thing, you know, a single equipment upgrade or a single upgrade to the amount of teams that you can have. Like, things are going to cost a significant amount of money for a very small change. And in this case, we're seeing them just give it to us for free. It's just a little bit of effort going through these missions, and then we're going to be able to unlock these new stat boosts, which is really cool of them. And honestly, if I had to imagine what they were trying to go for when they introduced this to the game, it would be a way to just make sure that they're able to go ahead and buff older characters that maybe have decent usage rates for reasons that, you know, are kind of obvious when you think about it, but maybe wouldn't be because they're going to be used as active members of the team. So in this case, Broly is obviously a fan favorite, and all the newbies that get Blue Broly are going to run him, but he's kind of garbage, and he has a terrible Z ability, at least right now, you know. And he's going to get a Zenkai Awakening because he's never actually going to get buffed based on low usage rate. He's never going to have a lower usage rate than some of the non-fan favorites that are also bad, okay? In this case, we also have Goku that's going to have a low usage rate on active members of the team, but a high usage rate for support because of his Z ability. And he's very easy to have maxed out at 99.99 if you've been playing for a while, and if you're even spending a little bit on the game here and there, you're going to probably have him maxed out sooner or later. So that's also a situation where we're probably never going to be seeing him have low enough usage rates to get buffed in that way. And then, you know, Beerus, he needed the buffs. Okay, let's just be honest here. There was no other alternative reason for that. He just needed the buffs. Now, guys, scrolling on down, we see Super Saiyan Goku's original kit fits on one page here, okay? It's very simple. It's very small. You get 15%, 22%, 35%. You know, we're not dealing in crazy big percents. We're not dealing in a lot of stacking of, you know, crazy stats as well as crazy multipliers. Nothing like that. And then we get Zenkai Awakening, boom. Just massive buffs across the board. Absolutely ridiculous buffs, okay? Main ability buff, special move buff, ultimate skill. I mean, all around, you're looking at ridiculous power. Unlock key form of attack, okay? Special skills going to restore own key by 40%, 20% damage inflicted for 20 timer counts. You get a nice little buff for the Z ability for just the just stars getting farther up and then getting the Z ability up. So that's irrelevant, but it's still a good Z ability. It's worth mentioning, okay? He still has a good Z ability. Very generic on the Saiyan tag, which so many characters have. And it's going to have that tag even if it is a farther form of Saiyan. So that's also worth mentioning because there are farther forms of Saiyans, you know, the Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, things like that, that will still have the Saiyan tag, and that is going to be relevant in the future. So with that all said, off to the side, Zenkai abilities are insanely good, okay? Starting out at 20, 15, 15, 20 on percents, that's still good, okay? Going all the way up to ability 4, which is 40, 35, 35, 40, which is busted. Not only that, unique abilities, 3 of them have been added, buffs to the first one as well. I mean, all around, you're looking at basically a brand new character that is absolutely ridiculously powerful, especially when you consider just in comparison to his original stat lineup and his original loadout and kit. I mean, it is such a ridiculous buff that this character is now not only just good, but based on the stat buffs and based on the fact that you have a 36% buff overall on stats just if you have him maxed out at 99 Z power, he's ridiculously good. And they've definitely brought him back into the top of the meta, and that's very, very exciting. And the really exciting thing here is that we're going to be able to see buffs to characters that never would have seen buffs otherwise, that are very, very significant. Not just, you know, decent buffs that maybe push them back into the meta just because people are curious for like a week or two, and then a new thing comes out and pushes them right back out. That's an issue that we've had for a while now. That's happened very, very frequently. And fortunately, it looks like that's not going to be an issue very long. Or for much longer, because the Zenkai Awakening is going to be a new feature that does hopefully fix that issue completely, make it so these characters do come back into the meta and stick around for a while, because it gets even out based on their stats and based on just the multipliers that all of their abilities face. I gotta say, in particular, I'm pretty excited for Red Super Saiyan Trunks and Super Buff Trunks, so Green Super Trunks. To get buffs in this way. I think both of them are just very ripe for being given that sort of treatment. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they do get that. I'm specifically thinking of Red Super Saiyan Trunks, though. I think that more than anything else, he's deserved to get buffs in the past few buff patches, and we haven't gotten them, unfortunately. So hopefully, at some point in the near future, we do get Zenkai Awakenings for him. And hopefully this isn't a very ridiculously expensive thing to do, and free-to-plays can just grind it out. I would be very happy with that, because it does say that there are going to be special summons which drop Awakening Z powers. So, you know, it's probably going to be monetized, but it could also be, you know, we could get surprised here. We could get a decent, nice addition to the game that's all free-to-play. I doubt it's going to be entirely free-to-play. You only get 1,000 Awakening Z power normally, so that's going to unlock the first one only for each of them. But we'll see exactly how expensive it's going to be to keep up with that. But I do think it's a very promising feature all in all, and I think you guys will agree that it is a very nice solution to the balance change problem, and makes it so, you know, maybe we see more characters in the future quicker than it normally would have been get balance changes and buffed into the meta. And again, I just want to make it clear again real quick that I do not like the new additional 16% status buffs that we're getting just from having a 99 Z power character. I think that that's ridiculous. I think it rewards whales way too much. It also makes it that a lot of the time, even though the kits are going to be different, they're still going to be really, really good for a 2-star new character that just came out. Okay, that's definitely not something that's going to be changing. A good kitted character like Super Vegito at 2 stars is going to be infinitely better than a hero with absolutely no kit, no multipliers, no nothing, with just pure stats that are better. And I think that that's something that people are missing by and large right now. There are a lot of people that are completely overlooking that fact, but in this case, I think we're looking at a little bit too big of a buff to the whales and a little bit too big of a discrepancy between your 2-star, you know, get one copy of a specific character and take them into PvP players going up against those whales that have an additional 36% stats. Like, that's just flat stat buffs. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this update as a whole. I know a lot of people have been discussing it, going back and forth about it, and I think that there's something really positive in the Zenkai Awakening function as a whole. But the status buffs that we're looking at from this update, just from having the additional 7 stars, the red stars, again, whatever you want to call it, it's a bit much, and it is going to be a bit too big of a discrepancy between those free-to-play players and your just average players, like people like me. I'm not a free-to-play player, dude. I spent money on this game. I spent too much money on this game. I just got 286 tickets from the free ticket giveaway thing. So, you know, I'm definitely not a whale, but like, I'm not a free-to-play player, and still I feel like I'm, you know, too blown out by a 36% buff on just a new character. 20% was enough, where, you know, a more skilled player may be able to pull out a win up against the 20% buff that they're going to be facing up against a new character that's all the way at 7 stars in the old system. But in this new system, I don't know, that may be a little bit too much to be able to beat down. So again, let me know what you think. I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a fantastic day. Peace.